Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Oh, here's a battle. Oh, mech down. Okay, well, here's another battle. Oh, mech down. Another mech down. And another, and another, and another. Why do so many mechs fall unnecessarily? Why do so many players go down with seemingly such a little fight? Why are so many mechs destroyed, never reaching the potential they could have had? I think I know the reason. And I find myself doing the exact same thing in some matches. And that is forgetting your job. You can do this with all mechs. Assault mechs trying to do roles that they're not suited for, heavies doing roles that they're not suited for, mediums, lights, etc. What happens in the match, the player, perhaps because he plays a lot of different mechs, perhaps because he just saw an opportunity that he thought was going to be great, and it didn't work out. Although we can't underemphasize the other main reason that mechs fall so quickly, and that is being alone. You need to be in a group, need to stay with the group, have support. I was once in an Atlas, and I'm not kidding, I died in about 20 seconds. 12 mechs, probably closer to 10 mechs firing on me. They go through the center armor real quick. That aside, that is, just an error in maneuvering your mech, needing to learn to work better with the group. But the main reason that I'm making this is to address the roles. And we'll also touch on fine-tuning your mech for that role, specifically fast mechs. But the role is about speed, reconnaissance, maneuvering, strike and fade, and you see these players use mechs in roles that they are not suited for. Part of this is to blame on the trial mechs. At the time of this video is being made, there's a trial mech that has a particularly high interest, the Spider. And the version of the Spider has one large laser, 4 machine guns. That's a pretty good amount of firepower to put in a 30-ton mech. And that 30-ton mech has pretty good speed. It loses a lot of the jump jets, and a few other things are juggled around. The problem is the Spider is a little broken right now. It has something called lag armor. Its speed modifier for the difficulty of hitting it, quite frankly, is out of balance. And as soon as they ring that in, the popularity of that mech is going to drop off dramatically. There are people in chat saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy this mech. It's great. It's wonderful. It is awesome." It's not a good representation of how to use a fast mech. You have players that are, quite frankly, used to running assaults being handed a very fast and able mech, and they're trying to use it in assault roles. This is detrimental to just player effectiveness. Keep an eye on the Spider coming in on the left there, and notice how he just sits there. He just goes stationary as we engage in this whole battle. This is not what fast mechs are supposed to do. In fact, he even gets in my way, and I can't take a few shots because I'll hit him in the back. And this is just a very poor use of a fast mech. If he wants to sit back and snipe, he needs to find a little bit better position. I mean, this isn't terrible, but the only reason he's still alive is they're more interested in shooting at me than him. I'm running heavy, he's just a little medium or light, so they're not going to go for him for the most part. Now we have 2 of them sitting there, just taking shots. Use your speed, maneuver around the flanks. race around to the other side. We're on the edge of the map, so they can't go any more to the right. And they're just sitting there in this cover, taking the occasional pot shot. If they went out, circled around, hit them from the back, literally, they would lose interest in this fight, and then they would give an opportunity for the heavies to then close, instead of doing this long-range tagging. Again, it's very poor use for a light mech. Here I am running a heavy, and a group of these spiders came up, and they just sit there toe-to-toe with me. I'm firing 2 large pulse lasers, 2 medium lasers. The only reason I'm not blowing through these guys and all 3 of them dead is the fact my mech's not optimized. I'm just basically trying to train through it and move on to other things. If it was fully optimized, I spent the resources to really make this thing a killing machine, I'd have blown through all 3 of them. I'm going to die. But they're just sitting there. Okay, what's this spider thinking? I mean, I'm a medium, I'm running my Cicadia. I have actual firepower, he's just using his flamers and just sitting there toe-to-toe with me. And this is silly. This is either one brave commando or somebody that thinks they're running a cataphract, because this is not going to go well for him. I have more armor than him, I have more firepower than him, and he's just sitting there. You have to watch very closely for this one, because I just kind of caught it off to the side. A Jenner runs in and just runs into this middle of this swarm of mechs, enemy Jenner, friendly mechs. It was like 6 on 1. There he is, very brief, and he's dead. You don't run into the middle of a group. It's not a good idea. I'm running my catapult, and this... At first I thought it was another spider, but it's actually a Cicadia. I'm running a Cicadia with a bunch of machine guns on it. And you can get some good variants on this. I ran this one several times. I'm shut down. Why is he sitting in front of me? I start up. I turn around. He was sitting to my side. He didn't even get around behind me. I shut down again. A spider joins him. Why am I still alive? They shut down, you get around behind them. You don't just stand there, okay, shut down, I'll sit here and just start pegging them. You use it as a golden opportunity to maneuver around behind them. This one was another frustrating one to watch. Here this little spider running around in the back of a friendly mech and just sits there, and then I just take a position behind him and shoot him. And he doesn't run off, he just basically sits there. He's moving very slowly, keeping his rear shot, and I just blew him apart. Okay, now I do some of those same things, but there's a little bit different. Right here, I move up on this Atlas, taking some shots, not using my great speed. I just kind of hold back, staying behind him. But at this point of the battle, there's really nothing that's a challenge for me. A bunch of friendlies huddled around here. He's the only enemy in the area. And I have other friendlies with me, so that if something did try to jump me, I would have some cover. I have room to maneuver. I'm keeping my roll straight. I mean, I'm a fast mech, and I need to not get bogged down. Disengage after killing him. Run off at this other enemy. Acquired. Don't run straight at him, zigzag a little. Take a few shots. Do a loop through the resource, cap it slightly. Turn back around. He drops. When you are capping, you don't need to just keep running in circles. I see people do that. Keep looking around. Laser light flashed, disengaged, run around. Set up your exit strategy beforehand. If something happens, I'm going to take off running in that direction, so you're not a dead target. This is basically both teams' last stand. They only had some lights left. We had a few other resources. They had, I think, a few more mixes, but we just had more tonnage. Notice how we're all just one big loop battle, big running around. But I'm on an outer loop, outside of them. So as a result, when they twist in to try to shoot at mechs on the inside, I'm into their back. When the situation comes up that one of them gets behind me, they're not able to stay there very long because I am turning, I'm maneuvering, I cut through things, I get on one of the tails, start chasing him down. It just becomes one big maneuvering melee. But try to make your shots count. Don't just take a shot here and there at whatever. Try to place your shots. Running a light mech, you don't have a lot of firepower. You're not going to deal a lot of damage, so you have to make your damage count. This is their last one. Trying to line up a position, see if I can get around behind him, chase him down, and he's down. Let's look at some other game situations. Here I am, just capping this resource, and an Atlas moves up, takes some cover, pull back a little. I don't have a lot of company with me at that moment, but I do have others in the area that are coming up. I move up, take a shot, notice I'm not running straight at him, again off to the side. Allow some of the others to take a shot. I'm spotting him for them. Move up, and I get around behind him. Due to his elevation, it's a little trickier in terrain to get around behind him, but he's by himself. Big no-no for any mech. He's not even responding to me shooting him in the back, which is always a plus. He is backing up away from the others, trying to keep them from closing on him and getting around behind him. Makes it a little harder for me to stay behind him and shooting him in the back. Here he turned off to face some other targets, and so I just taking shots on him. At this point, the rest of the game is kind of running off, doing some things. I'll do a quick discussion on what do I mean by optimizing my mech. As I mentioned earlier, that mech wasn't optimized, that's why I didn't destroy those and this and that. It didn't have a lot of extra investment. It's just a mech I'm training in to get to a master so I can unlock it for another mech in that class, but I don't want to spend a lot more money on it. If you want to run a fast mech, you essentially have to pick a role you want to fill. Then look for a mech that will fill that role. For example, some of this is based on my play style and personal preference. The Jenner, the Spider, and the Raven, in my opinion, work better in close support. The reason being is, I believe some of the Ravens are jump capable, but when you're in maneuvering in with friendly and enemy mechs, you need more firepower. Speed definitely helps, I'm not going to say it's not important, but you need more firepower and maneuverability. Jump jets do help you in that role. In certain situations where it gets bad, you can just jump over a mech, make it harder for it to lock on and really tear you apart. Another thing to keep in mind is critical slots inside the mech. Again, what do I mean? The Cicadia, the Jenner, Raven don't have the full-sized arms. They don't have the hand and lower arm actuators. Their arms are basically weapon pods stuck on the side. As such, they are able to have a little bit more space. So they have room for double heat sinks, XL engine, endosteel, ferrofibrous, and then you'll still be able to get some weapons in there. Location of weapon slots as well as numbers, the hard points are other key points. If you want to build a mech from close support, I'd recommend looking for a mech with 5 or 6 weapon slots that would really do well in that role, because you need more firepower and not as much in some of the other areas. If you're building a fast mech with the plan of doing deep strikes and reconnaissance into enemy territory, The key things you'll need. Speed is always a must. And you'll also need to make sure you have anything that can help in that role. If you're doing or helping in areas with spotting for artillery, you may want to try to do either tag or narc, although they don't really work in this game how they did in classic Battletech games. So the narc I'm not terribly interested in. Of course, I'm not a missile player, so I'm not sure how well it would really work, but something like that might be helpful. Get some of your sensor upgrades so you can try to spot things farther out, further away. They're always a plus. You need to learn how to conceal your movements moving around through terrain. Trying to, if you will, ninja your way up to and through enemy lines without being spotted. Keeping a good watch. In those areas, and especially when you're deep behind enemy lines, you need speed. Because if you get yourself in a bad situation, you need to be able to get out of there as quickly as possible. And either get back from the unit or get away from the enemy unit as quickly as you can. You're not going to be able to do that at all if your speed is around 90, because you're just not going to have enough speed advantage to get away, even if your opponent only has speed 70. He's going to be able to keep up with you for a while, shooting at you, and you're just not going to have that advantage. So you definitely need speed. To get that speed boost, because you only have so much space and weight for your armor, which you definitely don't want to thin that. You want to have your armor as maxed as you can. Your heat sinks and weapons, you need those. You can try to take a few lesser, like the regular lasers instead of the pulsed versions, etc. But you're still limited on what you can do. You need to have your heat sinks because you certainly don't want to shut down if you're deep behind enemy lines in maneuvering combat. That means usually I recommend stripping the jump jets off. Without the jump jets, you free up both weight and space, which is at a premium. For light mechs, fast mechs, even if you try to do this with a 40 or 50 ton version, it becomes a big balancing game of every ounce. Once you get your mech optimized for the role of recon, scout, deep penetration, be careful that you don't get yourself distracted on the way for a deep strike, deep penetration, all this different stuff, and you see a mech that is vulnerable in situations. Ooh, I can take this, and run over and start shooting them in the back. You can do a pass, but don't let yourself get distracted and sit there unless there's no other enemies around. And preferably you have some additional friendlies to help either distract him or keep him from being able to concentrate on you. If you run into trouble, disengage, get up to where you have some friendly units that can help cover you. So once you are finished with all of your tweaking, modifying, experimenting, finding out what your style works in these roles, and you get this mech fully optimized for you for this role, the hardest thing to do is keep it in that role and don't let yourself get distracted, because then you get pulled off, you pause, you stop, find yourself going toe to toe, and you're like, oh wait, I wasn't in my assault mech. That's the tricky part. I still struggle with that. Every now and then, match will start going off all these different stuff. I go to fire. Oh, I don't have that weapon. I'm not driving that mech. Oops. You can have some less than stellar performances if you do that. We'll call that it for now. Until next time, game on.